very, very tight.
Spot on. Lovely having you on company as always. Hope to have it next time too on The Chase Australia. See you then.
Tonight, emergency action on interest rates cut to record lows. It's good news for home buyers, what it means for savings. A coronavirus scare at Avalon Airport. Supermarkets told to stock up as politicians prepare for the worst. Eurydice Dixon's sadistic killer pleading for mercy because he's young and sorry. Drunk driver madness filmed speeding at 150 kilometres per hour just before he killed his mate. Melbourne's $1 million number plate, 2 digits, sell for a fortune. And later, no doctors, no drugs. How to boost your immune system before flu season. A 7 News Family Health report.
Live from our Melbourne headquarters, this is 7 News with Peter Mitchell.
Good evening. The Reserve Bank has reacted to the coronavirus outbreak with extreme surgery, slashing official interest rates to a new record low in an effort to head off a recession. It's cut the official cash rate to just 0.5%. The Prime Minister said he expected the big 4 banks to follow suit, and most have.
The rate cut, the first since last October, was a certainty. The only question, how much?
The Board of the Reserve Bank of Australia has reduced the cash rate by 25 basis points.
That's 0.25% to a new low of 0.5%. The Big Four, Commonwealth, NAB, ANZ and Westpac, quick to follow suit.
It's an unprecedented time for our economy right now, and we felt that we needed to take action and pass on the full 25 basis points today.
The Prime Minister almost insisting on it.
I would expect they would do the right thing by those Australians who are looking to see any support.
The RBA took the move to counter the coronavirus crisis, adding, "The outbreak is having a significant effect on the Australian economy, particularly in the education and travel sectors. The uncertainty is also likely to affect domestic spending."
And the country is coming together in face of the significant economic shock that we face.
Experts say today's cut offers immediate relief to businesses and households.
More importantly, it's hoping to supercharge the eventual recovery we get in the Australian economy.
The US Federal Reserve is also tipped to cut rates later this month. That saw a rebound on Wall Street, the Dow up 5%. The Australian market not quite so good, up but less than 1%. As for home loans, several smaller lenders have also passed on the full cut.
Over the life of the loan, that translates to about a $20,000 interest rate saving.
Owner-occupiers with a $400,000 loan should save $56 a month, $675 a year. But there's a flip side. Lower interest on savings.
There's a bunch of people out there who won't be happy with today's decisions because they're relying on interest from their bank deposits.
But the RBA says its floor is 0.25%. It won't be going into negative territory.
And Network Finance Editor Gemma Acton is at the Reserve Bank. Gemma, the RBA is scraping the bottom of the barrel here. Is there anything else it can do?
Well, Peter, there's not much more it can do beyond another 0.25% cut. After that, we'd be looking at what it calls unconventional policies. In the meantime, many will be looking to the federal government to do some targeted spending, injecting more cash into the economy. So expect some fiscal stimulus in the May budget, or likely even before then, more help for business and possibly even tax cuts. Peter.
At the Reserve Bank, Gemma Acton, thank you. Emergency crews wearing hazmat gear have removed a passenger from an aircraft at Avalon after he showed signs of coronavirus. We're being warned the number of cases of the disease in Victoria is set to skyrocket.
A coronavirus emergency at Avalon Airport. Paramedics in hazmat suits take a passenger off a plane to be tested for the virus after he began showing symptoms.
Everybody in the health system is well prepared to be able to deal with potentially a very large number of patients.
The state government's injecting $6 million into fast-tracking the fight against coronavirus. The number of cases is rising rapidly. 4 more in New South Wales today. A Sydney doctor is the first Australian to get the virus without leaving the country. He was infected by a patient.
We were expecting this, and it is inevitable that we will have local transmission in Victoria as well.
And when it does, the impact will be significant.
It may be the case that we need to defer or cancel a whole range of non-urgent care.
Passengers on a Virgin flight from Melbourne to Launceston on Saturday are being contacted after a Tasmanian tested positive. Those sitting within 2 seats being told to get checked.
This infection is spread by droplet and contact, which is close contact with an infected person.
The advice for the rest of us is to exercise common sense. There were long queues today at Costco in Ringwood. The Prime Minister held talks with supermarkets to ensure shelves stayed well stocked.
When it comes to people going about their daily business, I would encourage them to continue to do just that.
Overseas, though, a different feeling. First the Qatari and now the Thai MotoGP postponed. The fear now is for Melbourne's Grand Prix in 12 days' time. Ferrari still isn't a guarantee to be here. They want assurances everything will be done to keep their crew safe. Formula One bosses insist the race will go ahead.
At this stage, there is no advice beyond hand hygiene, coughing into your elbow, but being sensible, using common sense. That's the advice that's there. There's no further advice about public events.
Jodie Lee, 7 News.
And just a short time ago, Avalon Airport confirmed that passenger had arrived on an Air Asia flight from Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. He is now at Geelong Base Hospital in quarantine and undergoing tests for coronavirus. As we've seen over the last few days, airport security is really taking no chances when it comes to stopping the spread of this virus. This is now the 3rd flight through Victoria to prompt contamination fears. Mitch?
Jodie Lee at Tullamarine, thank you. And the AFL is expected to officially call off its match in China with an announcement due tomorrow. Tom Brown broke the story, and Tom, you have further revelations tonight.
Mitch, the Shanghai-China game is off due to corona. The AFL will announce that in coming days. They'll also announce the game will be at Marvel behind me either on the Monday, which is June 1, or the following weekend, which is a bye for both sides, round 12. I can tell you that the AFL was keen on Cairns. The Queensland government prepared to pay relatively big money. St Kilda, for example, will lose about $700,000 due to the China game not going ahead. Port will also lose money. That Queensland deal almost happened, but it will be at Marvel. I can also tell you tonight, it's my firm understanding the state government of Victoria has become involved in this deal. The AFL very smartly trying to mitigate the losses of both respective sides by getting the state government of Victoria involved. I'm investigating to what extent, Mitch.
Tom Brown at Docklands, thank you. Police have taken the unusual step of naming a fugitive sex crime suspect over a shocking attack at Footscray. Chief Crime Reporter Cameron Bowe has details. Cameron.
Mitch, his name is Takahava Lavini, and he's wanted over a terrifying sex attack in a Footscray home early on Friday. Now, it's believed that Lavini broke into the house armed with a knife. He's then confronted a female resident and sexually assaulted her. She had to be taken to hospital after that attack. Now, Lavini is of Maori background. He has a solid build and long dark hair. Now, one of the reasons that police have taken this step of publicly identifying their suspect is their concern over his ongoing risk to the community, Mitch.
Thanks, Cameron. Cameron Bowe at Police Headquarters. Eurydice Dixon's killer is pleading for mercy and fighting his jail sentence because he's young and remorseful. James Todd claims his sentence is unfair and says he shouldn't spend his entire life behind bars.
James Todd hunted Eurydice Dixon. She was the target of his sadistic sexual desires. He unleashed his depraved fantasy, raping and murdering the 22-year-old. And now he wants mercy. His legal team argued his youth, lack of criminal history, remorse and guilty plea shouldn't have sent him away for life. This was a 20-year-old man at the time of the sentence, and it was important in our submission that he not be deprived or have a sentence that was crushing. The prosecutors say they're not even sure his non-parole period would be enough time to cure him. Yes, it's a long period, but when one considers the evidence, the motive and the very limited prospect of rehabilitation, a minimum term of 35 years is within the range. Prosecutors never called for James Todd to be jailed for life. That left them in an awkward position today, forced to argue to keep a sentence that was harsher than they expected. Todd is also unhappy that he's being forced to live in isolation for his own safety. As for the community's safety, that's now a matter for 3 appeals judges. Chanel Vella, 7 News.
A patient who was set on fire in a Sunshine Hospital operating theatre is still fighting for life. The 72-year-old woman remains in a critical condition at the Alfred Hospital. Victoria's Health Minister says it's a distressing situation. There are still no details of what went wrong with hospital officials, and WorkSafe still investigating. There's a new twist in the Casey Council corruption investigation, with questions about where former councillor Sam Aziz is now living. Mr Aziz flew to Egypt after being accused of receiving nearly $1 million in kickbacks from developers. He claimed he was working for a business school in Cairo, but it has now cut ties with Mr Aziz. Last month, the scandal-plagued council was sacked over the corruption claims. A killer driver is facing up to 20 years behind bars over the death of his mate. As you're about to see, never-before-seen video reveals the 21-year-old was drunk and speeding at 150 kilometres per hour on the night he crashed into a tree with deadly consequences.
This in a 60 zone on Point Nepean Road. The Speedo smashes 150. An hour later, the teenager filming it is dead. The driver, Brandon Fong Tai Hong, spent the evening plying his underage mates with beers at the Rosebud skate park. The 21-year-old was too drunk to stand on his skateboard, yet he got behind the wheel. He smashed into a tree in Tutgaruk. In the passenger seat, Timothy Hocking didn't stand a chance. Ashley Gulliford was one of 3 teenagers in the back seat without a seatbelt. His injuries devastating. He has brain damage and needs ongoing surgery. I lost the ability to smile. Every day I look in the mirror and see scars and damage to my face. The driver told the victim's family and friends he was sorry, telling them he wished he could turn back time. But that was little comfort for the 17-year-old's parents. They left the court in tears. Janice Hocking said Fong Tai Hong robbed her of her son. He pleaded guilty to culpable driving and faces up to 20 years behind bars. Tegan Dolling, 7 News.
A driver has been jailed for 5 years for a crash that cost a tow truck driver his arm. Nathan Cameron sped down an emergency lane and hit the tow truck driver as he was loading a car onto his truck. The judge said he showed limited remorse and caused ongoing suffering to the victim. He'll be eligible for parole in 3 years. A grim search is underway on land owned by a controversial Christian cult to find the remains of stillborn babies. Authorities are scouring 2 properties owned by the 12 tribes. Detectives have been examining the high number of stillbirths within the community, which shuns modern medicine. Labor is accusing the Prime Minister of misleading Parliament following more revelations in the sports rorts saga. There's new evidence the PM's office requested last-minute changes to the funding, but Scott Morrison insists it was all above board.
Looking over his shoulder as Labor gets on his back over the sports rorts affair.
This absolutely stinks.
Scott Morrison has maintained his office played no role in approving projects, only passing on representations from other MPs. But the Audit Office has told Senate estimates Mr Morrison's office did change the infamous colour-coded spreadsheets minutes after the election was called on April 11, removing one project and adding another.
And that was at the request of the Prime Minister's office.
So, haven't you misled the Australian people on this issue?
Absolutely not.
Labor says he has.
This Prime Minister has misled Parliament.
The Leader of the Opposition will resume
again.
Attempting to censure Mr Morrison, gagged by the government's numbers.
It's colour-coded corruption and it goes right to the Prime Minister's office.
And after almost 6 months of dodging and weaving, Scott Morrison's finally admitted he did ask the White House to invite his friend and Hillary Hillsong pastor Brian Houston to his official dinner, only to be vetoed by Donald Trump's team.
We put forward a number of names. That included Brian.
But he was uninvited, the Wall Street Journal reported, after he was criticised for failing to report his father's sexual abuse of children. Mr Morrison dismissed that report at the time.
I don't comment on gossip, honestly.
So it's not true?
It's all gossip.
And now, all true. Mark Riley, 7 News.
Paramedics have called off planned industrial action after reaching a pay deal. They'll get a 2% pay rise every year for the next 4 years. They also get 4 extra weeks parental leave and increased shift loadings. A Melbourne number plate with just 2 digits has sold for more than $1 million. The last time it was up for grabs, it sold for less than $100,000. But this time, fierce bidding pushed it well past what the seller was expecting.
When small numbers attract big dollars, a set of rare 2-digit number plates worth more than their weight in gold.
1,010,000. Yeah!
After 47 bids at auction last night, they sold for $1.11 million to a determined local.
We've seen him before, collector of plates.
Part of a deceased estate, they were for sale for the first time in 20 years. Back then, they sold for around $75,000.
They're tightly held in families, they've been passed down from generations.
Plates with 3 digits usually sell for $100,000 to $250,000, but 101 recently went for $510,000. 2 digits are more sought after. Last year, 59 sold for $535,000.
Because there's a lot of Chinese buyers and investors in heritage plates, the Chinese aren't too keen on the number 4, so we normally see 4 slapped with a bit of a penalty.
But this is far from Victoria's most valuable number plate. At number 1 is, number 1. It's owned by businessman Peter Bartels and it's seen around Melbourne on the back of a Mercedes. Estimates put its value as high as $2 million. Number 8 would come close too, but it's not for sale.
We can't have a single digit 8. 2 plus 6 is 8, isn't it?
Paul Dowsley, 7 News.
Unbelievable. Tim Watson, there's some breaking injury news at the Pies.
That's right, Mitch. We're going to cross live in sport to tell you who's out and for how long. Plus, Nick Riewoldt issues a warning to anyone hoping to dethrone the King at St Kilda. A distraught Elise Perry shattered as her World Cup dream is over and the Sydney Kings shy away from their humiliating loss as United soaks up a record-breaking win. That was a shellacking, Mitch. I'll be back a little bit later with sport.
OK, thanks, Tim. We'll see you then. Next, protecting our emergency services workers from violent attacks. The new moves to shut down a loophole that was allowing thugs to get away with it. Also, 13-year-olds charged over a primary school fire. How Spotlight could save more than 1,000 jobs at Harris Scarf. And another share bike scheme for Melbourne. Can this one last the distance?
As the day breaks,
we have new developments this morning.
The news breaks on Sunrise.
We have a team of reporters right across the fire zone.
It's where you get what's unfolding.
Live right now for special coverage of this crisis.
It's where the newsmakers turn.
That seemed to be a mistake.
It's where the questions that matter are asked.
Are you okay?
The team Australia trusts.
What are you proposing in this then?
Are on Sunrise.
Take racing to the next level with the Punter's Toolbox. Take it to the next level.
Nearly 95% of Aussie 5-year-olds are now fully vaccinated, but we need to do more to protect all our kids.
Our baby Dana died from whooping cough. She was only 1 month old and too young to be vaccinated.
We lived in an area with low immunisation rates.
Vaccination protects your child from serious diseases, but it also protects other children too. Immunisation saves lives. Get the facts.
Visit the website. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Get some real snackisfaction. Subway now has snacks. Choose from our delicious snacks range from $2. It's more than a snack, it's snackisfaction.
Find time
as you roll along from one ocean to another on board the Indian Pacific with 3 bonus nights in Perth. Book your holiday between Perth and Sydney at journeybeyondrail.com.au.
Well, it's been another sensational day of tennis.
And let's check in courtside with Dylan.
I'm financing like I've never done before. Ooh, ooh.
Dylan, we are live.
Financing like I've never done before.
It feels good to get on top of your money. Start by checking your financial wellbeing score with ANZ.
Well,
the Toyota Corolla comes as a hatch and a sedan, so you can turn on the fun in more ways than one. Turn on the fun with Toyota Corolla. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
Take racing to the next level with the Punter's Toolbox. Take it to the next level.
Tougher laws are on the way to protect emergency services workers from violent attacks. The Andrews government is taking action to shut down a loophole that thugs are exploiting to avoid jail.
High on a cocktail of illegal drugs, James Haberfield bashed paramedic Monica Woods, and he didn't go to jail, excused by his pre-existing mental conditions, but not anymore.
We've got to make sure that being drunk and being on drugs is not an automatic excuse.
Those who bash emergency services workers won't be able to claim mental impairment if a substantial cause of their action is self-induced intoxication.
Certainly we're having paramedics assaulted almost every day, and people just aren't being locked up for it.
Under the changes, these assault cases won't be heard in the Magistrates Court but the County Court, and they'll be led by experienced barristers from the Office of Public Prosecutions. The police union says judges are now on notice to jail offenders for at least 6 months.
The proof of the pudding is always in the eating, of course, and we wait with bated breath to see what the outcomes and how those outcomes will be felt.
The opposition says the government is playing catch-up.
This is just an admission of failure from Daniel Andrews. He created the loopholes.
The new laws will also toughen provisions for those who encourage or urge others to attack emergency services workers. Brendan Donahue, 7 News.
2 13-year-old boys have been charged with criminal damage by fire over a blaze at Sandringham Primary School. Several classrooms at the historic school were destroyed in the inferno last month. The school is not expected to reopen until at least 2022. A temporary campus has been set up nearby. Another boy and 3 girls have been cautioned. 3 people have been taken to hospital following a smash at Camberwell. A car burst into flames after the collision on Warrigal Road around 8 o'clock last night. The driver and 2 others were injured. A new fleet of share bikes is about to hit Melbourne streets. The electric bikes can be hired through the Uber app from tomorrow across inner city councils. It's the 3rd bike scheme in the city after the failed Blue Bikes and O Bikes. Users will be fined if they're not dropped off in the right place and could be banned from all Uber platforms.
It's a different organisation, it's a different asset, it's a different bike. The O Bike debacle hopefully will not be repeated.
It comes as the annual cycle census kicked off around the country to keep track of just how many people are travelling by bike. Failed retailer Harris Scarfe has been thrown a lifeline. The Melbourne-based Spotlight empire is looking to buy the chain, saving hundreds of jobs.
Everything inside Harris Scarfe is on sale, even the chain itself. The rights to that sale today won by Spotlight, saving Harris Scarfe from liquidation.
It's good that somebody's taken them over, as long as those people keep their jobs.
And they will, according to its new buyer. The Spotlight Group will aim to keep its 1,300 current workers.
Spotlight has seen the opportunity to achieve growth and scale through the acquisition of Harris Scarfe.
It went into voluntary administration for the second time just 2 weeks before Christmas.
A lot of clearance, there's nothing on the racks. That's why I've got 2 pairs here, because we don't know if there's going to be anything tomorrow.
Less people walk in there
They've been struggling for a while now.
Department stores have done it tough in Australia for some time.
The deal is good news for staff at the chain's 44 stores, but their jobs still aren't assured. It will take several weeks to work out if all the outlets will stay open.
We would hope that most of those jobs remain. Obviously, Spotlight have purchased those stores and they need staff to operate them.
The deal could be done as early as mid-April, giving new life to the 170-year-old Australian business. Louisa Cheatley, 7 News.
Jane Bunn joins us now for an early look at the weather. And Jane, sunshine has returned.
It has indeed, Mitch. Now, that sun slowly returned this afternoon, but it is only here for a quick visit. This morning was gloomy and the wind had a bit of a chill about it, but it felt nicer as that cloud broke up this afternoon. Sunshine was seen in most suburbs by late afternoon. The city began the day on 14.7 and peaked at 19.5, while outer suburbs went just a little higher, reaching 20 or 21. Having a look outside now, and it is mostly clear. Over the city we have just a little bit of cloud. The dew point is low, it's down on 10. That is comfortable on the scale. Our air is quite dry at the moment. But have a look further north and we have a huge rain system. This will have affected all states and territories by the time it is done. That means humid air is returning to us. I'll show you what to expect here after sport, Mitch.
OK, thanks very much, Jane. Ahead, justice for more than 1,000 Australian women. They were involved in a landmark class action and have won millions. Also, a state of disrepair. Which schools desperately need an upgrade? Europe's border crisis escalates. A warning: millions of migrants are on the way. And 85 years of Australian media history comes to an end.
Turn your Thursday into Thursday.
Bring in the ham! You're so fluffy.
Rebels here.
Welcome to Booch Perfect, the show everyone loves except cats.
TV's biggest new competition.
2 hours to go. That's how long Russell takes to get ready. This guy's such a diva.
The most amazing transformations.
We're going to do a seashell shape.
Bella has been given a pineapple cut. My legs actually get the same look when I wear fishnet stockings.
This is a showstopper.
Family Fun Thursdays. Rebel Wilson's Pooch Perfect. Thursdays 7:30 on 7.
Everything you love about a Subaru meets the effortless efficiency of hybrid. Introducing the self-charging hybrid, the next generation of Subaru.
Charge! What are you up to? You think I don't know what you're doing? I know. Those spines won't protect you. You're mine. Now where are your eyes? Aha!
Whiskers, feed their curiosity.
Introducing new Jumpstart by Light and Easy, the new program that will help fast-track your weight loss success in 2020.
When I saw the weight loss on the scales, that definitely motivated me.
The change that I got from Light and Easy was bigger than what I could have expected.
Jumpstart combines the proven weight loss results of intermittent eating with Light and Easy's delicious summer meal plans.
Light and Easy is life-changing.
Jumpstart your 2020 weight loss goals today with Light and Easy. Jump online to find out more.
Unlike ordinary toothpaste, Colgate Total's breakthrough formula actively fights bacteria for 12 hours, keeping your whole mouth healthy. Colgate Total. Be totally ready for life.
100% Australian chicken breast in a crispy tempura batter with crispy jalapenos and spicy sauce in 3 levels of heat. Spicy, spicier or spiciest? Try Macca's new Spicy McChicken range today.
In my own way.
Our health insurance is going up on April 1st.
An average increase of 61% over the last 10 years.
We need Isolate.
Enter the Belusionist. I will now compare your bill and needs with hundreds of policies.
Whoa!
Is that your bill?
No, this one's smaller.
Glitter!
Compare, select and save on health insurance with iSelect.
What about electricity and internet?
3 women have been awarded more than $2.5 million after suffering lifelong complications from defective pelvic mesh. It's the first wave of compensation payouts, and with many more to come, the total amount could be staggering.
For some of the victims, the pain is obvious, but for the majority, it's internal. Lifelong complications, and now a payout from Johnson & Johnson that's supposed to help them for a lifetime. 3 of the women were in court today to hear that 3 others would be the first compensated.
For some women, this has irreparably changed their lives forever. Some women have become homeless, they've lost their partners.
The largest single amount, $1.27 million for one woman alone. The second awarded $757,000 and the third $555,000. The total around $2.6 million.
A significant outcome and recognition by the court that they have suffered.
The pelvic mesh was meant to help the women suffering organ prolapse, but complications included infections and chronic pelvic pain. The federal court finding Johnson & Johnson was negligent and should pay. The company maintains it acted ethically and responsibly in the research, development and supply of these products. Many of the victims inside the courtroom couldn't sit for long periods of time. They either had to stand or pace outside the courtroom. That's because of nerve damage that they'll suffer from for the rest of their lives. In all, around 1,300 women form part of this case, with many more payouts to come in what is Australia's largest women's health class action. Leonie Ryan, 7 News.
At least 180 jobs will go when national news agency Australian Associated Press shuts down in June. It's been supplying content to newspapers and broadcast outlets for 85 years. Owners said the business is no longer viable in the face of increasing free online content. Greek authorities have been caught on camera trying to capsize refugee boats as tensions with Turkey soar. The Turkish president's threatening to send millions of migrants to the border, but Europe says it won't be blackmailed.
In tiny, packed rubber dinghies, migrants menaced by the Greek Coast Guard. The video showing shots fired and boats pushed away was released by Turkish officials. Greece then published its own pictures. Go back! Tit for tat in a now deadly geopolitical game that's claimed the life of at least one child. Thousands more remain in limbo on land after Turkey started encouraging, even helping refugees make the journey to its Europe border. President Erdogan hopes it'll pressure the EU into helping his nation's military operation in Syria. The number of people going to the border will soon be in the millions. He warns everyone will share the burden. The EU is standing firm.
Nobody can blackmail and intimidate the European Union.
But there will be talks in a bid to find some common ground. In London, Sarah Greenhalgh, 7 News.
The field of would-be presidential candidates has dramatically narrowed on the eve of Super Tuesday in the US. After months of competing against each other, Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar have ended their campaigns, declaring support for Joe Biden.
Most Americans don't want the promise of a revolution. They want results.
Bernie Sanders is still the Democrats' frontrunner, but billionaire Mike Bloomberg is on the ballot for the first time. More than 2/3 of older Australians want to be more physically active but struggle to get motivated. The latest study from the National Seniors Group also listed health issues and mobility as other reasons.
The network that sport provides right across the nation with the community clubs and other organisations really provides that ability for us to build from here.
Most respondents said exercising with a friend or group or owning a dog were the best ways to overcome those hurdles. Details of Harry and Meghan's final official commitment have been revealed, and it will be a right royal reunion. They'll join the Queen, Prince Charles and the Cambridges at a Commonwealth Day service at Westminster Abbey. It's the first time the Sussexes will have been seen with the rest of the family for months, and the last before they step back from royal life. More than 100 Victorian schools with dangerous maintenance problems don't have the money to fix them. A 7 News investigation has revealed the secret list of schools where parents are being forced to pay to protect their children.
Breaking new ground to finally build a ramp into Kensington Primary after the school begged for one for years.
Other schools get a lot of money and we, have to fundraise to fix our things.
The school is one of the oldest in Victoria and in desperate need of upgrades and maintenance.
A piece of concrete fell off the outside of the school and that's a safety issue for kids.
And a $200,000 government grant isn't nearly enough to cover basic costs. A report obtained through Freedom of Information reveals the Andrews government allocated $28.5 million to Victorian schools for maintenance over the past 2 years. But of the 1,500 schools across the state, only a third received any money. 144 schools with high priority safety issues missed out. Regional schools include Wodonga Secondary College, Tallangatta Secondary and Beechworth Primary, which all need urgent repairs. Melbourne schools include the Victorian College for the Deaf and Thornbury Primary School. There are calls for more transparency in how money is allocated to schools, with concerns those in marginal seats are given priority. The fact the state government has pledged $400 million to private schools by 2022 is also controversial. In a statement, a spokesperson for the Department of Education said more than 440 schools have benefited from $1.8 billion in funding for capital works since 2015-16. Approximately 1,100 schools have also shared in $157 million of planned maintenance funding during this period.
There is issues where you worry about your child's safety.
Christy Mayer, 7 News.
Still to come tonight, the suburbs where it's cheaper to buy than rent a home. What record low interest rates mean for house hunters across Melbourne. Also the vacuum cleaner thieves who made a clean getaway. Why Apple's being forced to pay $750 million. And no doctors, no drugs, the expert guide to boosting your immune system. That's later.
These Aussie sisters are attempting the Aussiest meal ever.
Our main course is crocodile.
No. I reckon that's a first for MKO.
I have never had crocodile before.
Will their crocs sink or swim?
This is a bit of a risk.
My Kitchen Rules, tonight 7:30 on 7.
To get the best value deal on all return domestic flights, select from all your airfare choices to mix and match any flight on any airline each way at Webjet.
Take racing to the Ned's level with the Punter's Toolbox. Take it to the Ned's level.
What drives you? Power, intuition, innovation, comfort, control, beauty. The Peugeot 508 is back.
Beth is doing damage with the bat. Rachel's got it covered, what a catch. Lanning's score gets higher, and Ash is just on fire. And Shooter's taking aim again. How's that?
Come on, Australia, let's fill the stadiums. It's time to show the world we can.
Where did your family story begin? Why did they leave for distant shores? Who did they meet and who did they love? Find the answers with Ancestry DNA, the world's most popular consumer DNA test. Connect with the people and places that led to you. Start your DNA journey at ancestry.com.au.
Smooth, delicious McCafe coffee. Barista made with care and craft. Buy any 5 McCafe drinks and get one free. Download the My Macca's app to grab yours today.
Take racing to the Neds level with the Punter's Toolbox. Take it to the Neds level.
It's not your average robbery target. Thieves have been caught on camera stealing second-hand vacuum cleaners. They broke into the Mount Waverley business, making off with reconditioned Dysons. Police say they also stole power tools from a car. With interest rates now as low as we've ever seen them, it's cheaper to buy a property in Melbourne than rent one. Skyrocketing rents and a record number of apartments means it's often cheaper to pay for a home loan than a lease.
The repayments on this two-bedroom Armidale apartment are around $25,000 a year, but rent it and you'll pay $34,000.
You can look at saving $10,000 a year by putting it into something that you own.
There has been record levels of apartment completions in the Melbourne CBD and surrounding suburbs, and as a result, it has become cheaper to buy rather than rent.
The top 5 suburbs where it's cheaper to buy a house than rent one include Longwarry, southeast of Melbourne, where mortgage repayments are more than $100 cheaper, followed by Melton, Melton South, Baxter on the Mornington Peninsula and Coolaroo. The monthly savings are even bigger for an apartment. A mortgage is almost $700 a month cheaper than rent if you buy in Melbourne, $600 cheaper at Travancore near Flemington, while similar savings can be made at Docklands, South Bank and North Melbourne.
There are also some great Victorian government schemes available to you, and also the federal government 5% deposit scheme.
Unlike Sydney rents, which have dropped to their lowest levels in years, the median weekly rent for Melbourne units has shot up in the last year from $400 to $440.
As long as you've got your deposit organised, we can generally help to find that right option and save you money versus putting into somebody else's investment.
Melina Saris, 7 News.
There was a bizarre end to a hostage drama in the Philippines as the suspect addressed the media just before being arrested. The former security guard started ranting about his employer before police lost patience. He's accused of shooting another security officer and holding dozens of other people hostage. And a pilot has been forced into a rough landing in Arizona. The small plane touched down without a tyre or landing gear. Emergency crews were waiting on the ground, but the pilot and passenger were not hurt. Apple will be forced to pay up to $750 million after settling a lawsuit over slow iPhones. The tech giant was accused of deliberately slowing down older devices as it launched new models to encourage owners to upgrade the phone or battery. The settlement only applies to iPhone users in the US. Cirque du Soleil is returning to Melbourne. The big top tent went up today at Flemington Racecourse. Standing 20 metres tall, it can hold more than 2,400 people. The show will premiere next Thursday. Sport is next with Tim Watson. And Tim, a star magpie will miss round one.
Mitch, we will cross live to get the latest on the injury plus big selection news at the D's. We'll tell you when the new skipper will make his comeback. Saints champion Nick Riewoldt urges his heir apparent to embrace the hype. Elise Perry fights back tears with her World Cup dream over, and that's not the only worry. And Melbourne United drops another bomb after sinking the Sydney Kings.
I will always be with you. Got your name on my heart. There ain't nothing like you in this world that I know. And darling, I will never let you go.
You don't need to pay for it. It's all here. Live, free, and in HD.
Boy. You will always be here.
7.
In my heart.
The home of footy.
Hey guys, what'd you like?
Coffee, thanks.
2 coffees, please. Coffees. What kind of coffee would he like?
Cappuccino.
Cappuccino. What can I get for you?
I'll have a coffee, thanks.
Yeah, 2 coffees, please. Awesome. And what kind of coffee would you like?
Cappuccino, thanks.
2 cappuccinos.
Autism. Change your reactions, change your actions.
Invest with La Trobe Financial, Australia's multi-award-winning wealth manager, returning 4.9% on a 12-month investment. Make your money work harder for you. Call 13 80 10.
Harvey Norman Bigger, Better Mattress Sale with our $1 size upgrade offer on Sleepmaker and Beauty Rest mattresses. The Sleepmaker Dakota Pocket Spring Queen Mattress. 3 feels, 1 hot price, just $6.99 each. Enjoy 5-zone graduated Miracoil support in the Regulate Queen Mattress. Choice of 4 feels, $11.99 each. Featuring Cool Coat temperature regulating technology, the Sleepmaker Alaska in either medium or plush feel, $16.99 each. Plus, upgrade your mattress for $1 more to the next size up. Hurry, see more in store now at Harvey Norman.
Metricon always offer more love. And now, enjoy even more with our designer series Get More Love celebration. Get $50,000 for just $10,000 to spend on bonus luxuries, like the latest high-quality Decton bench surfaces or European kitchen storage solutions from Hayfully. The Metricon Get More Love celebration on now.
Smooth, delicious McCafe coffee. Barista made with care and craft. Buy any 5 McCafe drinks and get one free. Download the My Macca's app to grab yours today.
This sports report brought to you by Melbourne's Moomba Festival.
Welcome back. Max Gorn and Stephen May have made significant progress as Melbourne cranks up preparations for round 1. Live to Chief Football Reporter Mark Stevens. And Steve, you watched the Demons train today. How did the pair go?
Well, Tim, they went very well. Almost certain to play Friday night in Launceston to kick off their pre-season campaign, their first matches of the campaign. I'll start with Gorn. Great news there. It was his biggest session since suffering a medial ligament injury to the knee in a pre-season camp, on the track for more than 2 hours, strapped up, but looked fantastic. Certainly a lock now for round 1 of the home and away season, and looks a lock for Friday night. Stephen May also very positive, so important as a key defender. He's had knee setbacks twice during summer, but finally looks ready. The Demons match committee meeting late today, but he's also set to get the tick. A bit of a foot scare today with Nathan Jones, the ex-skipper, only minor. He will be good to go. His pre-season's been pretty strong. Now, Collingwood, they've only just confirmed in the last hour or so that Adam Treloar has a standard 21-day hamstring injury. Not a bad result, but it will hamper the start to his season. You can put a line through round 1 against the Bulldogs. He will not play that game. I also believe he'll miss round 2, a massive game against Richmond. The Pies will be very conservative given his history. And just briefly, the Bulldogs close to full strength on Saturday. They're taking a direct charter flight from Melbourne to Whyalla. Bonampelli will be on board, Tim.
Thanks, Steve-O. St Kilda champion Nick Riewoldt has urged rising star Max King to embrace the hype heading into season 2020. And the Saints have issued a warning for opposition clubs planning to target the young forward in his first few games.
He was renowned for getting on his bike up and down the footy field.
Try not to puff.
Now Nick Riewoldt is climbing aboard 2 wheels for this year's Maddie's match. He'll ride from Moorabbin to Marvel Stadium to deliver the game ball in round 3.
So we've got to make sure we get there before kick-off, otherwise we might have a bit of an issue.
The St Kilda great can't wait to see what his old side can deliver in 2020.
Really bullish about what is in store for the club this year.
In particular, the young Saint wearing his old number.
If there's one man who knows a thing or two about being a young key forward on the rise, it's Nick Riewoldt, and he's called for expectations to be tempered around rising star Max King.
Use the expectations to drive you in your preparation, to drive you in your commitment to get the best out of yourself every day.
Riewoldt confident King can hold his own as a 19-year-old key forward.
have you stood next to him? I'd be more worried about the people around him.
If they do decide to go for Max, then good luck to him. Like Rui said before, he's a pretty big boy and can hold his own.
Bradley Hill is also expecting big things in 2020.
Last year I played some consistent footy and I want to take it to another step again this year and, take my footy to another level. I feel like I'm getting to like my peak of my career.
Dan Hanbury trained away from the main group, but the club insists he's still set to appear in their final pre-season hit-out this Sunday. Andrew McCormack, 7 News.
Australian all-rounder Elise Perry is out of the T20 World Cup. A distraught Perry travelled to Sydney to support her teammates this morning, but her tournament is over after scans revealed a high-grade hamstring injury.
It's a pretty rough day for a couple of days for her, but whilst we don't have an exact replica for Elise Perry, we've got the same character and fight in those players that we do in Elise.
Perry's replacement isn't Australia's only concern, with rain forecast for Thursday's semi-final at the SCG, with no backup option. In South Africa, the Australian men are desperate to bounce back and level the 3-match one-day series against the Proteas tomorrow night. The Aussies have lost 9 out of their last 10 50-over matches against South Africa.
It's a great opportunity to see where this group's at, and I have no doubt that we'll respond really strongly.
South Africa beat Australia by 74 runs in Game 1. Melbourne United says the Sydney Kings should be feeling pretty bad about themselves after their humiliating 45-point loss in Game 2 of their semi-final series. At one point, United scored 38 unanswered points before closing it out 125-80. It was the biggest ever margin in the NBL's 40-minute era.
I just feel deflated and, they really got a number this game. To lose by that much in the playoff game is pretty bad.
Game 3 in Sydney is on Thursday. The Matildas are so focused on qualifying for the Olympics this week, they've arrived in Newcastle oblivious to any threat to the Tokyo Games due to coronavirus.
To be honest, just say we'll host it. Yeah, there you go. The mayor herself said that we'll host it, so there it is.
It was lighthearted today, but they know it's crunch time. The Matildas host Vietnam on Friday night before the return leg in Vietnam next Wednesday. The winner goes to Tokyo 2020. Now, that's real focus, Mitch.
That is.
If you don't know that there's a threat to the Tokyo Olympics because of the coronavirus.
They might know about it soon, though, Tim.
Yeah.
And what do you think of the Saints' chances this year? Are you with Nick Riewoldt? Rather bullish?
Yeah, I think they're one of the contenders for the bottom of the 8.
Oh, really? I thought they recruited well.
They have.
Thank you very much, Tim. After the worst flu season on record and the new threat we're all facing, there are ways to boost your immune system right now. Before you get sick and have to visit the doctor, there are a number of steps you can take to improve your chances of staying well.
Each year, influenza claims about 1,000 lives in Australia.
If you are a smoker now and you really don't want to have a problem with coronavirus, that could be something that you could do today, give up smokes.
Here are some non-medical steps everyone can take. Add spices to food and ginger and turmeric with antioxidants and detoxification properties, like green tea rich in polyphenols, which are efficient infection fighters. Keeping warm is vital. Viruses are more infectious at temperatures below the body's normal 37 degrees. Essential oils such as lemon oil stimulate white blood cells to also fight infection and reduce stress, which causes the brain to produce cortisol, depressing our immune system.
That vitamin D supplementation had a positive effect in reducing viral infections particularly amongst children.
The most effective steps you can take might surprise you. Key immune boosters include staying hydrated with at least 8 glasses of water a day, and the big one is sleep. One study found surviving on just 4 hours a night can deplete the body's natural killer cells by up to 70%.
If you want the absolute number one best thing that you can do to boost your immune system, it's get enough sleep, and we all know that too few of us do that.
See our website for more information on boosting your immune system. Brian Seymour, 7 News.
Jane is next with the forecast. And Jane, what can we expect tomorrow?
Well, Mitch, it does turn humid by the end of the day. There is rain on the way. The details are next.
I'm Angela Cox. Tonight on the latest from 7 News across Victoria. New details surrounding the coronavirus emergency at Avalon Airport. Your expert guide to the record interest rate cut, who's passing it on and what it means for you. And inside the race to save an Aussie icon. That's the latest tonight.
It's Dr. Murphy.
coffee.
Can he face the world to save her?
You had no right to tell the world about me.
New The Good Doctor, tonight on 7.
Tell you what, any boss who sacks anyone for not turning up today is a bug.
Our Prime Minister said that. It's that kind of place. An epic patchwork of tracks, ovals, pools, stadiums and fairy tale endings stitched together by undying belief.
Just want to say to everyone else can get stuff because they think women aren't strong enough.
Peter Rock, the man who has conquered the mountain.
Perfect ride for Okalupo.
Champion becomes a legend.
So long may we play.
When life gives you dirtiness, Godfrey's gives you cleanliness. Electrolux Silent Performer Vacuum, $199, save $50. Optum Steam Mop, $49, save $50. Godfrey's cleanliness.
Colac, Victoria, the home of ice cream. It's where we take fresh local milk and cream, free-range eggs and 90 years of know-how to craft our creamiest, premiumest ice cream. Bulla Murray Street.
If you've been injured at work, it's important to know where you stand. Talk to Australia's #1 injuries law firm. Morris Blackburn Lawyers will maximise your compensation so you can get on with your life again. Call us now. It costs nothing to know where you stand.
Right now, enjoy a $4,000 cash bonus when you refinance your home loan with NAB.
Where are we off to?
Byron. NAB, more than money.
Jenny Craig is here to help you lose weight the healthy way.
I loved having a consultant, and 30 kilos later I can show that it's been extremely successful.
Join today with a free 8-week membership plus free food delivery. Cost of food additional. Call Jenny Craig now.
Get some real snackisfaction. Subway now has snacks. Choose from our delicious snacks range from $2. It's more than a snack, it's snackisfaction.
Dawn breaks to the sound of stretching knicker elastic. Human squawks fill the air as icy waters kiss nether regions. These rogues don't have a care in the world. Nor do they have a towel.
Would you invite a stranger into your home?
We know nothing about these people and they're living under our roof.
He saved my life.
You stay away from this house.
This week, it's all about to explode.
John knows everything.
John, please don't push me on this.
Either they leave or I do.
Home and Away, this week at 7.
Hello again. Clouds slowly turned to sunshine, but it remained on the cool side. The city only reached a top today of 19.5 after starting the day on 15. Clouds stretched across much of southern Victoria, but there is another area of cloud coming into the far north as well. The radar shows activity coming across the border, but this is just the edge of a big rain system and it's not delivering much yet. It did mean that Shepparton was warmer than Mildura. We're on the edge of this huge weather system. It starts with a low up near the top end. That is the remains of last week's cyclone Esther, and it finishes down in the southeast with a trough. Tropical moisture has been fed into this system and low pressure is turning it into rain. It just depends on the path as to who sees that rain. Now it gets underway in Victoria tomorrow, more persistent over the northeast of the state with locally heavy falls but quite patchy elsewhere. Then the widespread heavy part shown by these purple colours slowly tracks from the north through to the south on Thursday. But the far west isn't seeing much. They miss out from this one. This will be a narrow band of heavy rain from the interior through outback New South Wales into the southeast. Then it spreads further eastwards, drenching eastern New South Wales and Queensland. This is a huge rain system. Here in Victoria, a warning has been issued for these areas tomorrow. That brings the risk of heavy rain. Now tomorrow is just the first day. The warning area is likely to spread to more parts on Thursday. Now the latest guidance shows that these are the areas that are at risk of that heavy rain. So it's east of about Swan Hill through to Bendigo, northeast Melbourne out to about Traralgon. So all these areas in through here. There is a warning for brown rot as well. In Melbourne, this is what is most likely to occur, with most of it falling on Thursday. Not much at all for Geelong, 10 to 30 millimetres for most suburbs suburbs and the city, that's 10 to 30. But the big falls are in the northeastern suburbs. Around the nation tomorrow, rain spreads into Sydney and Canberra, but Hobart, Adelaide and Perth miss out. Adelaide just on the edge there. Brisbane has the chance of a shower. To Victoria, it's becoming humid in central and eastern parts. Showers and local thunderstorms. The northeast has the risk of those heavy falls, but not much for the west. Closer in, and it's generally dry in the day tomorrow. There is the chance of showers, mainly afternoon and evening. They get going later on. It is a top of 22 in the city and it's turning humid. There is the chance of showers. To the 8-day outlook, our best chance for rain in Melbourne is on Thursday. It's a muggy top of 21. Most of those heavy falls in the afternoon and evening, and really it's for northeastern suburbs, not around Geelong. Melbourne, the city, is in the middle. As we go to Friday, showers easing during the day, the chance of one on Saturday afternoon. We'll see some sunshine maybe later next week. So there is the chance of showers tomorrow. Most of it's on Thursday. 22 turning humid, Mitch.
And good for Moomba for the long weekend too. Thank you, Jane. And that's the way it is this Tuesday, the 3rd of March. Thanks for your company. We'll have updates later. For now, from the 7 News team, good night.
Closer each day.